One of the biggest concerns I see for tons of families right now is how can I get my budget lower for groceries each month? And I'm hoping to share a little bit every month now as a new series what I spend in a month on my groceries. Right now we are a family of 3.5. I am currently 7 months pregnant. I have my 2 toddlers, a 3 and an 18-month-old, and my husband is deployed right now, so he is currently not included in our budget. However, when he is, it's maybe about $100 more a month, so it's really not that much additional when you think about adding him in. We spent in the month of June about $250, a little bit less. And I want to go through everything that we spent, talk about some of the meals we made, and also talk about how I kept that grocery budget low. By the way, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Lauren. I'm a homesteader, a homemaker, and I do all content related to cooking, homesteading, and motherhood. Okay, so let's talk about what this budget includes and what it doesn't include. It does not include toiletries and other things. I honestly find that I don't spend all that much on it. I think our biggest expense might be like toilet paper or toothpaste or even like shampoo or something like that. I try to not use a lot of paper towels. I have really gotten into using rags, which has helped reduce that cost, which I didn't realize how much we were spending on that until I looked at our budget and I was like, that's a lot of money. That is really honestly figuratively and literally being thrown away when we can just use reusable rags. And so this is strictly our food budget. The other thing that it does not include is coffee. I will say we are a bit of a coffee snob family, and right now I am ordering some decaf coffee from an online distributor because it took me a while to find a decaf coffee that I liked. Being pregnant, I do try to reduce my caffeine consumption. I kind of find a balance in there, but this pregnancy I've been really good about reducing that. Other than that, this is pretty all-inclusive of all of the food that we eat. The other thing I want to mention is that we do keep a pretty stocked pantry. However, I was doing a few videos this month where I was just using like what I bought from the store. So I did buy some additional pantry items that I might have actually just used that was in our pantry that I included in like our budget videos for an all-inclusive cost. And so I want to kind of walk through like what am I purchasing that is kind of falling into the total of the $241 that we spent this month, and kind of some of the meals that we made and what that breakdown is. So let's take a look at our cost breakdown. So our veggies account for about almost 22% of our total spend. Our dairy, which doesn't include milk, I actually separated it because I was kind of curious how much we spend on milk as a toddler family. Our dairy is 15.2%, so that's things like butter and yogurt, cottage cheese, stuff like that. Protein, that is meat. I also included eggs in here. I felt like that kind of needed to be inclusive in that category. Fruit is actually pretty small considering the fact that I have kiddos. We're kind of in a weird fruit phase where I feel like they only really like cuties and like certain fruits. I don't know. We're in a weird transition phase with fruit, but we only spent 5.4%. Milk was 8.6%, so that's actually a lot, I guess, if you really consider it. And that's kind of what I thought. We do spend a lot on milk. We will go through at least a half gallon a day. Our pantry items, so flour, rice, beans, stuff like that, was about 22%. And our snacks, so anything prepackaged is what I included here, was about 4%. So if you look at some of the things that we're purchasing, you know, animal crackers were considered in the snacks. I usually let my kiddos pick out like one treat per visit, and we usually go to the store about once a week. I find that I spend a lot less money if I am shopping once a week. Currently, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and so that's really easy for me, but even before that, when I was working in the corporate world, which I did up until a few months ago, I was shopping once a week too. I just found that the easiest. I found that I was spending the least amount of money, and I was able to like have the least amount of food go to waste. Some of the other things that we had in here were pasta. I had bought some chips because my sister's bachelorette party was this month, and you know, milk, mandarins, ground beef. These are the things that I am making, and these are things that I'm buying. A lot of whole foods. You might see again some of those snacks sprinkled in here, but really, truly, I am buying a lot of whole foods to make things from scratch. And so let's talk about kind of the total spend breakdown. So if you look at snacks, we're spending about $10 per month, which is actually pretty low. Pantry is mid 50s, milk $20 a month, fruit around 15, protein, again, we're up in those 50s range. Dairy, we are in the $35 range, and veggies, we're about $50. Really, again, we are buying a lot of whole foods. Some of the meals that I made, and I do have some videos up already on some of these meals. I'll link them in the description below. I did a $42 a week budget challenge for the earlier part of June, and so a lot of these earlier meals in here are inclusive of that video. So tortilla de patata, which is like a Spanish omelet. It has potatoes and eggs in it, a homemade chicken broccoli rice casserole, Mexican fried rice, egg breakfast sandwiches. I did a veggie curry, potatoes au gratin with sausage and ground chicken. I do have a video that I'll probably put up next month on that one. I was doing some recipe testing for that one, and I want to change a few things, but honestly, that was a huge hit. I loved it. I eat a lot of eggs with potatoes in the morning. I love some diced and fried potatoes, a little bit of eggs. That's a lot of my go-to breakfast. I also have a lot of oatmeal, and sometimes I just fast in the morning depending on what time we get up and how hungry I am. And some other things that I made when I traveled. So this is inclusive of about 5 days of travel to my parents' house. I did make some meals when I was there, so I did buy groceries there still. We did eat out a few days when we were there, more than we usually do. However, I really don't think my budget would have been that much different if I had included like normal meals in there, because I did make meals for other people in that purchase of food. So I think it kind of balances out in the amount that I would have spent. And then a plethora of noodles for my toddler. My 3-year-old is partially on an exclusive noodle diet, although I will say he has become a lot more adventurous. My 18-month-old pretty much will eat anything that I eat, which is really great. She has not gotten into her super picky phase yet. And I also made a really great bacon and broccoli creamy pasta that I really loved. And so I have some other meals probably sprinkled within there. However, those are the main meals that I recall making. And, I eat a lot of leftovers, and it has been a little bit more difficult for me kind of cooking as a solo parent now, whereas my husband would kind of go through meals a little bit quicker with me. I wouldn't have to eat the same thing over and over. I have started to put some things in the freezer for 2 weeks later where I'm not as sick of eating it. I am a big proponent of cook once, eat twice. So I do make large meals, and I do like to have leftovers, because I think when you are making a lot of things like from scratch, like I do, and you have little kids, you don't want to be cooking every night. So for me, like eating leftovers is super important. I know a lot of people don't like them. However, I think, like I said, you can freeze them, and that really makes it easier to eat them at another point in time where you're not as like sick of eating it. So that was my budget for June. I would love to hear what you would like to know for my budget for July. What are the things that you're planning to eat this month? And does $241 sound too high, too low for you for a family of 3.5? And if you liked this video, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe. I'd love if you would stick around for our future videos. Again, I make content on homesteading, homemaking, and motherhood, and I would love to see you next time. Until later, bye for now.